Hi all, Stuart and Sarah here, still exploring Ecuador. We spent most of this week relaxing in Tena. We originally came back to Tena after spending a couple days here with our organized tour just as we got to Ecuador because we knew there was gold in the area, and because I have my metal detector, we wanted to come back and see if we could find anything. Unfortunately, after arriving here and asking around a bit, we found out that it's a bit politically sensitive because some people are operating illegal mines. So the natives don't really want to see foreigners with metal detectors out in their areas. So what we're going to do is look back at some of the produce that we experienced here in Ecuador. They have lots to draw from because they're drawing from their coastal region, their Amazonian region, as well as the Andes or Sierra region. So this is a produce market that we visited in Quito, and we were lucky enough to get to try some of the local produce. So we were able to try some of the naranjilla, the toxo, some red bananas. So lots of delicious produce to tempt our taste buds. We're also going to show you some of the things that we tried in Cuyabeno, and these are things that you can't buy in the market. So we've seen a lot of places that grow cocoa, but here we actually found out that the ripe cocoa has a little tiny white covering of fruit around it. So the berry inside is what they make the coffee out of, but you can suck off this sort of very sweet fruit-like outer white area. I mentioned in the previous video the machete guava, and this is it here. So you can see the long, skinny machete shape, and this also has just a thin layer of white fruit. This is a wild grape, so not cultivated at all. It tastes actually quite a bit like cherry. And these are not fruits to eat, but these are a sort of a seed or a fruit that they boil to distill oil that they can use in the Amazonian region. Right now we're going to focus in on Tena and our main attraction that we did there. So in just a bit we're going to see an elaboration of that inset map. Here's some amazing flowers that we saw in Tena. And our main activity in Tena was a full day. We're talking 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Rafting trip along the Jandashi and the Hayin River. It is actually one of the top 10 in the world in terms of scenic views along the river. It was absolutely amazing. The Jandashi was a bit low on water, so we had a lot of getting stuck and really tight maneuvering to get around it. Here we are loading up the rafts. I'll let you enjoy the sound. We don't have a fancy waterproof camera, so most of our time in the rapids our camera was stored away. So we have a lot of scenic pictures, but only when we're on calm, flat water. So we were in a raft with 3/4 of a Ecuadorian family, a great rafting team. There was another raft as well as 2 kayaks on our trip. During the first stretch of the river, you see these yellow butterflies that were super abundant. And I don't know if it was something just about him or his yellow shirt, but they loved landing on Stuart. We managed to get that one picture of it. Our guide was Pancho, the guy in blue, and the guide of the other raft is there on the right-hand side. As you enjoy some of the scenery that we got pictures of along the way, I'll talk a bit about the rivers themselves. The Jandashi had class 3 rapids, on which Stuart got dumped twice and I got dumped once. The other boat had a couple dumps as well. One guy unfortunately did a Superman move and landed on a rock, ended up limping quite badly at the end of the day. The river was running really low, so there were a number of times that we got a little bit stuck and had to maneuver our way out, but it was still a great run. And in the second part, when we were in the Hayin River, it was much more volume, and we went quite a bit faster, and they had class 4 rapids. And maybe a little surprisingly, but nobody got dumped at all on the class 4 rapids. Some of the names that I remember of those rapids were the Waffle Maker and the Las Vegas. I guess there's a replica of the Las Vegas rapid in Las Vegas. So that's where it got its name. Here's a waterfall I'll let you enjoy. One of the people in our boat is a student of economics, and he was able to share a bit about the history of the monetary policy in Ecuador. About 24 years ago, they were dealing with really significant inflation, which is why they got rid of their own currency and began using the US dollar. Here we are at the pullout at the end of our trip. That was fortunately really close to the road. Unfortunately, getting to the start of the trip was about an hour hike that was very, very full of terrain. We had to go down some really steep, rocky, muddy terrain to get there. So my knees are now paying for that. Nonetheless, it was well worth that hike to get to that amazing scenery that we enjoyed along the water. Here you can see our expenses for the week, probably a lot more typical than our first week, which was very low because we were taking it so easy, and our second week was so high because of that resort. So this is what we hope to see a bit more of in the future. And that concludes week 3. Travel safe.